gonna sound like I'm talking out of my ass.
Then please try to enunciate.
No, it's a figure. Never mind.
Oh, we forgot to take off that damn banner, guys. Oh, there it is. All right. Maybe it was better without my face. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Orville Review Show podcast, where we deep dive into the universe of the Orville and unpack the layers of this compelling series. Unpack the layers, gentlemen. All right. Anyway, and of course, with me, I have two of some of my favorite people. All right. We have to my direct, I guess it's my left, but screen right, I guess, is World Mind, Mr. Chris Murphy. How are you?
Good, sir. I'm ready to open this jar of pickles and get into a little Orville delights, or maybe a little Orville Redenbacher, if you will.
Ooh. Sounds scrumptious. All right. And speaking of scrumptious,
Well,
the man, the myth, and the legend all rolled into one. It is Adam Woodward.
well, thank you very much, Jody. Hey, Chris, great to see you again. I've been a couple of weeks, I think, since I
know.
Yes,
Oh, I know. It was when we finished Discovery.
It was either that or it was Hold Up. One of the two.
Whatever came first.
Yeah.
How was golf
One of those
yesterday,
things.
Jody? I missed it.
It was good. It was good, actually. We were surprised. We were delayed a little bit because of the rain, but once we got out there, it was nice. Nobody was behind us. It was great. We could just kind of relax a bit and play at our own pace, and it was great. So very good. But unfortunately, Dave, as we wish Dave and more importantly, his wife a happy birthday. So he's spending time with her today, which is great. And yeah. Well, there's always another one too. Oh yes, Kevin's anniversary, I believe, is today as well. So it's a whole slew of stuff all rolled into one. That's the reason why we're here. And Vulcan Rumble is also here, gentlemen. Let's not forget that. All right,
Super fan Sam.
and Sam, the super fan Sam. There you go. I think he should change his name to Super Fan Sam. That'd be better. All right. Anyway, today we are venturing into the captivating world of season 1, episode 4, If the Stars Should Appear. In this episode, the crew of the USS Orville stumbles upon an ancient, colossal spaceship adrift in space on a collision course for a star. Inside, they find a civilization oblivious to the fact that they are on a ship living under oppressive rule of a theocratic regime. I always screw up that word. Anyway. Initial thoughts, guys. What do we feel about this episode? How are we feeling? Adam.
Sure. I enjoyed it. I feel like I'm watching this for the first time. I didn't watch the Orville until COVID came around.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it was like 21 or so. But anyway, I think I watched it too quickly. I don't remember everything. So it's good. I enjoyed this episode much better than last week's episode. I missed last week's review with you guys, but I have a rating for you.
Excellent.
But I did like where this started, I like where it went, and I like where it ended.
Okay. So overall solid package for you, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Worldmind himself.
It was a grand little adventure, as grand as the ship that they discover. So I thought it was a fine jaunt, and there's something like I like the Orville. It does things I kind of wish modern Trek would do, mostly film in bright daylight settings, and you really can see
Lens
the whole
flare,
set and stuff like
not
that.
being all over the place.
Yeah, just nice clean imagery, and for the most part, this does Star Trek well. Like just like setting up really complex scenarios, and then diving deeper into the like minutia of it. Especially with this episode, and I feel that there's some people that probably don't give this show a shot just simply because of the Seth MacFarlane of it all, and it's easy to overlook that and really look at what this is as a whole. And it's good sci-fi. It's good Trek.
Yeah, and the comedy is the comedy is different than his normal stuff as well. So I also think it's not playing as much on popular culture, even though there is some, obviously, some references.
But if you're a Family Guy fan, it's all over. like in the writing, in the jokes and how.
Oh yeah, he takes
Absolutely.
it from all of his projects for sure. But I
the-
think it's a little bit more wholesome as well.
The best way I think I could describe this honestly is it's like a live action Lower Decks.
You know what? I saying that, yeah, I agree with you. You know, you have that same kind of snarky, fun wit, but you also have serious points. Like
Yeah.
you know, like it, you know, we're only 4 episodes in. We've delved into like stuff like, for instance, like gender reaffirmation, oppressive regimes, like, and we're only 4 in, guys. Like
Parents,
Mhm.
parents being a pain in the ass. Yeah, that's also something that most of us can relate to at least one time or another.
you get that these guys they're more human than any Star Trek crew. Like they're like I always in my mind believe like Star Trek crew members are like the best of the best. The training is just intense. Just to even get considered to be in Star Trek, you have to be top level.
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
it was delivered in the first episode where we're trying to find 3,000 captains. I mean, like, so
Yeah.
maybe that bar just isn't as high.
Well, and that's what we get with Mercer, right? Like we know he's not their first pick, but they need people, right? So it's
Well,
and I think it comes back to the fact and more to what you're saying, Adam, is that this is like Star Trek if people had more flaws, right? Like like everybody on this crew has flaws, which is something that we don't see a lot of in Star Trek, in modern Star Trek even more so, in my opinion. But that could be debated, I guess.
But you definitely have like a hierarchy and a structure and all that stuff. It's not quite as rigid as Starfleet, or certainly under Picard for sure. Like Picard had very high standards.
Chris, I think I interrupted you. I'm sorry. So
no, it's good. I was going to say it's really evident in the beginning of this episode too, because this episode starts with them, tracking star maps, and
and they're bored,
complaining about it.
They're bored. They're just complaining about it. They're like, "That's the most boring thing ever."
And Kelly's like, "You're on the edge of known space, and you're bored." He's like, "Yeah, I don't want to do this." We lost one. There he is. But anyway, why don't we get into the episode, guys? I got some screenshots here, so we can do that all up, and we'll just kind of trek through this. Pun intended. All right. So we start our episode with Kaylin and Bortus in bed, and they're clearly having family issues, I guess is a good way to say it. There is a conflict there. Basically, sorry, I already said his name and now I forgot him. Clyden. There you go. Clyden. I probably said it wrong the first time anyway. Did I say Kaylin? Yeah, and that happened all last episode too, so be prepared. But anyway, Kaylin? Clyden. There we go. Clyden. All right.
Clyden.
I'll get it right. Clyden. Say it with me. Clyden.
Clyden.
Right. I'm gonna have to put like that up in like the office area here and just put like a sheet of how to pronounce people. But anyway, Clyden.
Correct.
There we go. All right.
Yeah.
Clyden is clearly not happy with the fact that Bortus spends a lot of time working. And I guess it's with the baby, it's becoming a little bit tiresome. This is something that I think every relationship can relate to at one point or another. So it's very, very normal and to the point here.
Do you guys know whether Clyden has a job or a profession, or is he just there?
He's just there because they even said like in this, he's like, you knew when we took this posting that, this is going to be what was going to go on. So I guess he doesn't really have a job. He's just kind of like,
but
now he's the parent, right?
Yeah. On like, again, I'm thinking Starfleet Enterprise, where there was other roles for people who were not Starfleet. They could be teachers or researchers or whatever.
I don't think they ever address this.
They don't ever. I don't think they do either.
I think they do. Yeah. Well,
I feel like they kind of maybe allude to it later on.
Okay.
That the Clyden does some form of research work, or
okay. Then
something
maybe
to
they
that degree.
didn't.
But I could.
It's been a while since I've seen season 2 and season 3. So, I guess we'll find out.
I fell off roughly around season 2, I think.
Oh, season 3 was a blast.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Anyway,
it'll be new to me.
But yeah, they're talking back and forth, and at this point, Bortus is like, "I can't sleep. I'm going to work." and it's like early, but he's like, I'm going to work early anyway, it doesn't matter. And then Clyden wakes up as well, but Clyden decides, it is Clyden, right? Yeah, Clyden. Clyden decides he's going to talk to the food replicator thingy here, and ask it. I want something that makes me feel better. Some sort of thing, and it starts listing off things that different worlds go with, and then ice cream comes up as the Earth's go-to thing, and then I guess he has a discussion. She says Rocky Road is the one that most people order, so sure enough, he orders that, and then he starts watching. I know this movie, but I can't get the name
Sound of Music.
Sound of Music, that's it.
Is this the Sound of Music? Okay.
I
wow.
am 16 going on 17.
Yeah.
I think it was
That's
Is that the wrong one?
I don't know that. What are the lyrics of that song? What is she alluding to?
Yeah.
Where is that going?
We know what she's alluding to for sure.
But and he's older. Like it's wrong. Okay, let's not get into it. But so it is Sound of Music,
podcast, guys.
and Seth MacFarlane has professed his love of Sound of Music many times.
Yes, it is his big thing for sure.
Huh.
All right, but anyway,
sure,
he's
there's
sitting
nothing
there.
to look into.
Yeah, he's eating his Rocky Road ice cream, and he's just engaged in this movie. So clearly,
Rocky Road ice cream's the best, though. It's a good call.
It is good. It's either that or Heavenly Hash. I like both of them for different reasons.
Moon Mist.
Oh,
If you're from Nova Scotia, you know about the Moon Mist.
Moose Tracks. If you're Canadian, you probably know what that is. So that's good stuff. Anyway, let's stop talking about ice cream. I love the looks that both of them give each other, though. Like he's like, I'm leaving now, basically, and he's like, mm-hmm. And then
it's not going well. You get last week's episode isn't going well for this family.
Exactly. It's not going very well. They're obviously still pissed at each other. But anyway, so then we get obviously Gordon and come on, help me out.
Miller?
No, it's not Miller. I always forget his damn name.
Oh, sorry, I'll get it for you.
Anyway, the two of them are just kind of chatting, and they're currently mapping stars. And this is the thing that we alluded to a couple minutes ago, where basically they're bored. They're just bored of this. Kind of reminds me of what was it? Star Trek 2 was it the second remake? Was it Beyond? Maybe it was Beyond.
Oh yeah, Beyond when
where he's like, Kirk was walking around and he's just so bored of everything. He's like,
and you know what else was very good? It was regular. The Reliant in Wrath of Khan, where they were just having to find a planet with no life forms.
Yeah, because they're trying to do the Genesis device, right?
Yeah.
So it's like they're trying to find one.
Sorry, that's John Lamar.
That's
Lamar, that's
Lamar.
right.
Jeez, I don't know why I don't remember any of the names every time. But anyway, Kelly's just like, why are you guys so bored? We're like right on the front of, edge of, known space. Like, come on, this is exciting. And, Mercer's just kind of like, okay, yeah. And, they're just all cheesed about it. And then Bortus shows up and they're kind of like, why is he here this early? And it's like, oh, and then Alara, I think, says something along the lines of like, do you want to talk about it or something like that? And he's like, no. So, but anyway, so they end up finding she finds on the scanners, is it her or is it Isaac? Find on the scanners that they see this artificial vessel that's X times away. I think it was like 20 minutes away or something like that. So they decide, it was Isaac actually brings it up that he finds this vessel. You can actually see it on the view screen in the little bubble there. They have kind of like a little skeleton version of it. Which is another thing I really like about this show. They do a lot of detail on the con stuff. Like, Star Trek did that too, for sure. But the amount of detail they do, like everything's animated. Obviously it's probably a green screen and then somebody puts it in post. But either that,
I bet you honestly, those are on set screens, and they're probably doing them in episode. Like, it'd probably be easy just to play the video,
just to play like a looping video.
Yeah.
Either way, they look good, and I like how they always have relevant information to the thing that's going on at the time, which is something that Star Trek kind of lacks sometimes, especially in the original series, where everything was a matte painting. But anyway,
Or there was sometimes it'd be like green text on a green grid or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
you're
and
like,
you couldn't
"What
read
is
it.
that?"
It would just be a grid. Yeah,
But Jody, that was
Um,
the way it was back then. It was the 60s.
that's right. It was the '60s. We didn't know any better. Anyway, to quote the immortal, the immortal Mater. But anyway, so they're like, oh, this is like, this huge ass ship, and they pull up to the ship, and you get this Dyson sphere vibe thing going on here.
Totally. I got that
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
yeah, totally. Like right at the beginning, you're like, oh, Dyson sphere. All right.
Where's the door?
Yeah, where's the door? And then as the screen pulls out, you see how absolutely massive it is. Like it is just, and Mercer's right. He says later on it looks kind of like a turtle. It's like, yeah, it does kind of look like a turtle.
Well, I mean, when they were talking, and the doctor said, I love when they do this kind of stuff, but it's giant, and she goes, it's the size of New York. So
Yeah,
It's a
the size of
cross.
New York.
In my eyes, it was a cross between a Megazord and Galactica.
Yes,
I
yes,
can see
that
Galactica there
could
too.
be,
Yeah, at the front. Yep.
I think this might have even been a bit of a nod to Terry Pratchett, like the Color of Magic, and well, actually not that Discworld, excuse me, but like Discworld, where everybody lives on the back of a turtle, that kind of thing. So it might be something along
Yeah.
those lines as well. But either way, and of course we get our title card, which is "If the Stars Should Appear," which is obviously that's a well, later on they talk about the poem that it comes from. But Mercer's like, yeah, no, this is huge. Isaac, is there a door on this thing somewhere? But like, even if you look at the back screen here, like you can see a nice 3D rendering of the ship. They probably just got it from the CG department people and said, okay, put it on the screen. But still cool. I just like those little tiny things. And if you actually notice in the background above his shoulder, that's actually a shuttle bay status. It tells you how many shuttles are in the bay right now and stuff. That's kind of cool.
Neat. Yeah.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, you can see it. Anyway, he's like, yeah, no, there's a door, and he's like, okay, well, everybody, let's go. Bortus, you're in charge. And that's pretty much.
Don't be a dick. That was great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there was the "don't be a dick" part, but
Yeah.
actually,
And they basically
I didn't
also
really get any
explain
screenshots,
how the ship is inert and it's just floating towards a local star,
yes,
and
yeah.
they've got like a few months to
I think it
stop
said
it.
6 months or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we end up going to a scene with Yafid and the doctor. Again, he's in the, he's complaining about something because, that's just what Yafid does. He just goes to the thing constantly to hit on her. I can't even remember what the conversation for this was. It wasn't, I think he was just lonely. He said like, I'm lonely. There's no other gelatinous life forms on the ship, it's kind of lonely. So obviously the whole crew's feeling a little bit of fatigue when it comes to routine and living on the ship, I guess.
Yeah.
Then we get obviously the shuttle's on its way out. Here's the crew that has decided to show up, which makes sense, obviously. They end up finding the little docking area here. It eventually docks, and then at this point they get this little thing, and of course Murphy. They said the line that you like to say.
Yeah.
Here.
Could you open this jar of pickles for me?
Yeah, so which is something that Mercer says throughout season 1 anyway. I don't remember him doing it past season 1, but it kind of gets old after a while, I guess. But basically, whenever Mercer can't open something, he gets Alara to do it. But anyway, so at this point, they finally get in. And once they get in, it's this huge ass. Now, Murphy probably can relate to this a bit. Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Like with the things inside the headquarters. The minute I saw this scene, I'm like, oh, boss fight. It's like, oh no, different thing.
Got our save point. We got to fill up all our health.
Yeah, we
Walk
gotta
down
get
the
all our health.
corridor.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so at this point, they're going through this massive ship and they're seeing all these different floors. We learn that the doctor has got a fear of heights, which we didn't know before that, I guess. But then Isaac says something along the lines of, well, I don't blame you for having a fear of heights. With your brittle body, you'll definitely die, or something like that. He's very, very, very good bedside manner. Yeah,
it's Kurt.
Yeah. So anyway, they end up opening up this next door, and they are surprised to see an ecosystem. And at this point, it's obviously an artificial ecosystem. At least the roof is, anyway. But it turns out it's not artificial. It's certainly there and living and whatnot. Basically,
it's a farm in BC.
Basically. Yeah. So I'm sure there's weed there somewhere. But anyway, they're looking around, and then they finally decide, they're going to break off into two groups. I think Alara and Kelly go in the one group, and then Mercer, the doctor, and Isaac go in the other group. So they start walking through, and this is where he says something along the lines of, "Oh, are you going to be sexually adequate or something like that?" And then
Yeah, because he's inquiring about their breakup and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're just randomly talking about his like love life basically, and then the doctor's just like, "Aren't you glad you brought him with you?" Like, like, yeah, he's great. But anyway, they go through, and I must admit, like the scenery is great in this episode. I don't know where they shot this, but I'm guessing possibly Adam might have some sort of answers for that. Maybe.
I don't know how to get it.
Maybe he'll find it one way or the other. He'll find it. But they end up walking through this forested area. They end up coming across this cabin. And he's like, they decide they're going to knock on the door. Basically, this lady opens it up, immediately shuts it on him. And he's just like, wow, that
screams.
Yeah, she screams and just like closes the door completely. And he's just like, well, that isn't the welcome we were looking for, basically. And then this guy jumps out with a gun and gets shot. But I did miss this screenshot, unfortunately, guys. Sorry. It occurred to me right after that I missed it. But basically, it isn't Mercer that actually shoots him. It's Isaac, and he just stuns him. But anyway, then they go in.
Him, right, Isaac?
Yeah, you stunned him, right, Isaac? Well, yes, I wouldn't do anything else. It's like, but anyway, so he goes in to try to talk to the lady who just screamed her head off, basically, after they shot her husband. Like, she doesn't know what the hell's going on at this point.
Oh, at that point, they just gave up and started talking to the kid.
Yeah, and then she's just freaking out, and basically the kid just eventually comes out of this room, and he's like, they just talk to the kid, and the kid's totally like okay with talking to them, like he's a little dumbstruck.
He's the one that shows interest and asks questions.
Yeah.
The other ones are just like trying to shoot at them.
Yeah, and they go through this kind of dialogue of like, your ship's gonna like crash into this star soon, but none of them know it's a ship. So they're all just kind of like really confused as to why he keeps saying ship and stuff like that.
This is a farm, sir.
Yeah, this is a farm. Like, and he's like, well, where are you? Where are you? Well, we're on the farm. It's like it. So which in reality makes perfect sense. If a stranger shows up that you've never seen before and asks you where you are, you would say that because you don't know that you're on a ship at this point. You would think they would know that, but they don't. But anyway, so then we get Kelly and Lara are walking down this kind of road path, which this should have been an indication that they have vehicles. This should have been a dead giveaway. But yeah, but anyway, I don't think they're questioning that there's a society here. They said there's millions of people. They scanned it, right?
Yeah, that's why they're like in an effort to save the whole construction,
Yeah, exactly.
They don't want them to burn up, so they're trying to make contact and then hopefully fix what they got going on. Yeah,
and basically Alara's asking questions about Kelly and Ed and what happened in their relationship, kind of thing. Girl talk, I guess. And then all of a sudden they hear like a motor in the background, and they both turn around to see this bloody huge thing coming at them. Now they don't live in a time with wheeled vehicles, so I'm guessing this is kind of new to them as well. But they get the idea of what it is. It's a transport. They get it. So it starts running at them. They have to kind of jump out of the way in a way. And then this thing pulls up, and these two armed guards come out, and they're like, can we see some identification? They're like, yeah, no, I left it in my other pants. And Kelly's like, my picture's kind of ugly. I don't want to show you, obviously being goofy. And these guys are clearly not having it. They end up pulling up these massive guns. I'm not totally sure what's going on with that revolver, but it's got at least 2 barrels too many on it. And as for the rifle, it's some sort of weird MP45 kind of thing mixed with a shotgun or something. I don't know. But anyway,
do you notice
just like 3
they're
barrels?
Sorry about that. Yeah, they're following the Star Trek mantra here. Is
yep.
Like all the authoritarian people are always in no color, very squared off shoulders. Like this is
always have some sort of padding on their shoulders to make them look bigger.
Yeah.
It's
always I mean,
Their
look at
suits are always brown
Kardashian
or
wear,
gray
Kardashian uniforms, Romulan uniforms. They're all that.
It's always the oppressors. Oppressors wear brown. Everybody knows that.
Oppressors wear brown or gray.
Yeah, brown or gray. Yeah. So anyway, they're basically just trying to like, reason with these guys. And at this point, they shoot Alara, and Alara starts rolling down a hill, and then Kelly's like trying to take off, and they shoot her in the back as well.
Well, okay, so they don't shoot.
Oh,
Kelly.
no, you're right.
They
They didn't
crack her with the butt of the gun.
That's right. Yeah, he nails
But
her.
the way they shot Alara was really sort of alarming, fast, and kind of shocking. In
Yeah.
a sense, because they were queuing it up like the old trope where like the crew kind of gets caught, but they get close enough, and then the karate chop their way out of it.
Yeah.
And
But
it
that didn't
seemed
happen.
like Alara was attempting to do that, and they're just like blam blam blam, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh,
She
nice.
just gets shot and rolls down a hill.
Yeah.
And then we go back to these guys. They're now going to I can't remember the kid's name. Anybody know that one off the
Yeah,
top of their
give me
head?
a second. I got it.
But anyway, he's trying to show them he knows of people who are more open to the ideals that perhaps this crew is talking right now. So anyway, he's gonna guide them there.
Tomalin.
Tomlin? Okay, so Tomlin. So Tomlin's basically taking him to, this group of people who meet in this, I guess it's a old farmhouse as well, barn kind of thing. And they open it up, and this whole group's there. They're just, I guess talking and chatting and whatnot, and maybe having some food. And they're, what's that?
Having some crepes.
Having some crepes.
Crepes.
Maybe a nice sausage. But anyway. So anyway, Mercer's like, oh, wow, who are these people, right? And then we go back to the Orville. I can't remember what these two were talking about at this point. Anyone remember? I don't really remember.
Didn't they get like they got a
this is distress call at this point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so they get the distress call saying that the Kalon, is it the Kalon? No, Kalon.
It's
Star Trek.
I don't know if it was
What are the bad guys'
if it
names?
was
I
Kalon
really
or
got to
whatever.
have a glossary up here, man.
the Krill was attacking. It was definitely
Yeah, so they
it
were
was
attacking
a colony ship or something.
colony ship. Yes, yeah, because Gordon
Mhm.
tells him it's a colony ship. Lots of lives. Blah blah blah. He's like, okay, throw out a
Kids and
beacon.
stuff.
Throw out a beacon, and we'll take off and go see them. So they throw out this beacon, which is kind of cool, kind of neat little thing to look at. Looks kind of like one of those old school like cartoon atom bombs from like propaganda in the 40s. But anyway,
But you know that as soon as they are going to say, we got to leave and hopefully they'll be okay. Well, we know they're not going to be.
yeah, of course not, because they said that,
No.
right? Like it's
I mean,
they
Alara's
never
already
just
been
show up and go,
shot.
did anything happen? And they go, oh no, nothing happened. It's always something. But anyway, so they take off to go help the ship that's in distress. Meanwhile, we're back with Mercer. Mercer's talking about how this is not a planet. This is a spaceship, or at least he's trying to convey that. And then he starts talking about the Overlord, their god, I guess, which I can't remember his name either. But
Doral.
It was like Doral,
Doral.
the deity Doral.
Doral is
and-
Doral is the god, and then the other guy is
Who
the guy who runs the oppressor guy.
Hamelak.
Hamelak, that's it. But basically, he's kind of given them the rundown about how their society works in a way, and we
It's
have
heresy
a god.
to speak about anything outside the existence of their bubble, basically.
Yeah.
No
Like
space, no...
this episode. I don't know if this episode does it to you guys, but this one just screams original series episode. Like it's
Mhm.
like just the things that go on, like the oppressive society, the false god, the standard trope. But I liked it. I thought it was pretty good that way. But and of course the god being who he is, which we'll see later. But
I like that guy too. That I know that actor from he was in 24 a lot.
yeah, I don't know exactly who he is. I recognize him, but I don't know what I recognize him from. I did see some 24, so maybe I saw it from there. But
It's not... No, it's not the guy that plays T-1000.
oh no, it's not.
Looks like him.
Not Robert Patrick. No,
No, it's not Robert Patrick.
No. Looks kind of
Yeah,
like
it's-
him though, a little bit. Yeah.
His name's James Morrison, and his character's name's Kemka.
Kemka.
Yeah.
Okay. What's
He
he been
was
in?
in 24, Twin Peaks, Catch Me If You Can.
Twin Peaks. Okay.
What else?
Catch Me If You Can. Okay. Yeah. That was the Caprio movie, right?
Yeah.
Caprio and Hanks. Yeah. Okay. So basically, they're like, yeah, no, well, let's eat some food, and then we have a whole scene here where like Mercer like takes a bite of this food, and he's like, oh boy, like, and he's like, anybody got a napkin? And he's like, oh,
Where's your
it-
trash?
yeah, yeah. So Claire gives him a napkin, and then he's like, so where's your trash? And they go back to Alara, who turns out she is still alive. Shocker there. And
Yeah, she's the strongest one. I was like, is she gonna just like, brush the bullets off? I was actually impressed that they wounded her a bit. Didn't
oh,
didn't have
she's
to kill
very
her, though.
wounded. She's very
Yeah.
wounded, but because she's so strong, she can survive this. Whereas, as they say later, I think the doctor says, if she was human, she'd be dead already. So, but she gets enough energy in her to communicate to Mercer, basically saying, I've been shot, blah, blah, blah. And they've taken Kelly. So he's like, okay, well, it's time to get moving, I guess. And then we go to Kelly, who wakes up in a foreign vehicle, I guess. And the vehicle's pulling up, and that's when we see, who's this? Hemelak, there we go. So Hemelak is basically telling them, like, it's kind of our way or the highway kind of thing. You can't have weird thoughts because these are the people that are going to take down our society, and your typical oppression trope, right?
And he's got the support of the people, and
oh yeah, they're very much kin to it. And he basically he's talking about and he actually makes contact. He actually looks at Kelly as she's being pulled out.
Yeah, but before this happens, like he throws some guy out.
Oh no, that's coming up.
Oh yeah, I thought
Yeah,
that was
because she gets to see it, right? So she has to be out of the car before it happens. So he brings out this guy who I guess has done something bad. I don't even know if he says what he's done.
He literally is just talking about how there's space and stuff like that.
Oh, that's right. He was
Yeah.
I guess philosophizing about space and stuff. And he's like, I'm going to let the crowd judge him. It's not going to be me. It's going to be the crowd. And he literally just throws him into the crowd, and then the crowd just beats the living hell out of him. And Kelly's really disturbed by this, which she'll be more disturbed later. But this is a good start to the intro to that character, I guess.
Yeah, so it's interesting though, because you have and this is sort of a contradiction, because you have the dictator clearly, but practicing mob rules, which doesn't really work together. But
gets the focus off him, right? So
yeah.
it's a good way to stay in power, but make it look like you're giving the people an option, right? So it's cool that way.
He's been angry since his prison break.
I guess so. Yeah, is that where I know him from?
Mm-hmm.
Prison Break. Yeah. I thought I definitely knew him. I just didn't know where he was from. But anyway, so Kelly's overlooked all this. He sees her, and he's like, bring her in, kind of thing. So the guys start leading her in. And I will say this is a pretty good beating the hell out of her scenes coming up. They did a good job on this. They didn't really spare anything either. Like, she gets beat. Right, like it's bad, but basically she just he's looking at her phaser or gun or whatever they call it in this, and he's like, you should show me how to use this, and she's like, yeah, whatever.
When he points at her, she did get uneasy. You saw
yeah, you could see that kind of. I don't know if I don't think I got it.
I feel like those should have some sort of like Judge Dredd fingerprint. Like if you're not registered with this weapon, you can't fire it.
Yeah,
safety sort of dealy.
Well, maybe they do, and he didn't fire it, so
yeah,
he doesn't have the ability to fire it, or maybe it's blocked for the person. Yeah, well, he wants to use it, right, but he can't. But he obviously knows that she's not from here. Like he totally has got this, but he wants to protect that illusion that there's a god and this is all the universe is just us, right? Because that's how oppression works in ways. But anyway, so he ends up basically giving her some threats like, oh no, we'll make you talk, don't worry about that. Tell us where the other people are, that kind of thing. And she's refusing to do it. Like Kelly's just being Kelly. And then we see Claire, she's taking bullets out. I like this little suction cup tractor beam thing that they used. Kind of reminds me of those zit gun things that they sell now, where people like suck
Mhm.
zits out of their face. Obviously the Orville did that first. But anyway, so Claire ends up fixing up all this, and this is being seen by the young guy, which I've totally forgot his name again.
Tomlin.
Thomas.
There you go. We'll call him Thomas. There you go. Because I won't remember Tomlin. But anyway, so Alara is definitely looking rough. Like, and she's doing a good job portraying that. Like, it's even when they pick her up and like she's like kind of like standing there. I tried to get a couple of it where she looks really like shaky and stuff. Like she's like shaking and stuff like that still. So obviously it's not working great.
But it's cool how they did address it because they got the bullets out. She also said she's lost a lot of blood, but she gave her some kind of stimulator that would
promotes the growth. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's still uneasy, like, and she's still clearly like it was hard to get shots of it, but she's clearly out of sorts. Like it's bad still. But anyway, they send Isaac back to relay a message to the because they can't get communication in the thing. He ends up, I guess I missed it, but he ends up seeing the beacon and he realizes that they're not there. So he's like, okay, well, I'm going back in then. And then once he gets back in, he can now talk to Mercer and he's like, yeah, just so you know, like the Orville's not there, but it says they're going to come back basically. So anyway, and then we get a cut over to this ship being attacked. And sure enough, there's the Orville fighting with them as well. Kind of hard to get screenshots on this one as well, guys. I'm not gonna lie. But anyway,
battle. It was a good battle scene.
It was a cool little battle scene. Yeah. And that's one thing they don't disappoint with this show as well, is the battle scenes. I find are, they don't get overly drawn either, especially in the third season. When you get to the third season, there's a lot of space battles. So it's they do a good job on keeping the pacing without like going like 20 minutes into this, kind of stuff. But basically Bordish is like, oh, this is not looking good. And then I think it's, is it Lamar? I think Lamar says, oh, well, we can shoot their engines out. But our engines are almost gone. So we need to shoot them before they shoot us. And he's like, oh no, we can't do this or something. And he's like, I can do it. So he ends up giving control to Lamar. Lamar's like, yeah, okay, I'll take him on. So he ends up shooting these, I guess they're some sort of heat-seeking torpedo kind of things. I don't even know if they have a
photon torpedoes.
They're not. They are definitely not photon of the photon torpedo variety.
Yeah.
But anyway, and we get to see that cool spaceship blow up. They do a really good job with those two. But anyway, and then Lamar literally jumps out of his seat and he's like, doing like a, kind of victory dance, like at the end zone kind of thing.
Take that, bitch.
Yeah, take that, bitch. And all this, and he's like, whoa, that kind of thing. And then Bortis is just like, sit down, basically. And then we go to Kelly.
Take him like an hour to get fixed.
Yeah, it's going to take an hour before they can get underway again. And then we go back to Kelly, who is now starting to get the interrogation is not going well for her. And basically,
the scene opened where they're just getting nailed across the face. Right?
Oh yeah, well I missed the actual punch part, but that's the aftermath on the first one. And I love the smile though. She kept the smile, which I thought was great. I tried to capture that, which I think I got okay. She's got pain in her, but she also has a smile as well. Like, I'm not giving up yet. And then she cuts a joke and then they kind of hit her again. And that time she really flies. And then at this point we see that Mercer and group are now in disguises. It wasn't too hard. They just had to blot some stuff on their face and then get some clothes somewhere.
Some brown clothes.
Yeah, some brown clothes. You can't be part of the regime unless you have the brown clothes.
There's no color. There's no colors here.
Yeah, like this is literally that's your palette right there. That's everything being represented.
Incognito Terran outfit 5.
Yeah, exactly. And of course we have Alara, covering her ears a la Spock. Trying to make sure she doesn't get seen with.
What's kind of like when you think about how much they have to really avoid to be Star Trek in this show, like
it is hard because you have a legacy of 50 plus years of things that have happened
and things
and
that
it's still a sci-fi show and it's still on a ship and it's still visiting planets
and things that influenced McFarlane through his whole growing up and whatnot. It's be tough.
And that's the thing.
It'd
A lot
be-
of people look at this as being like a satire of Star Trek, but it's more, in my opinion, an homage. Like
Oh, yeah, I completely agree with you.
it's more of a you know, a fan delight. You know, this is how he would do it, kind of thing. And keep in mind, McFarlane has been trying to get a Star Trek series for the longest time, and they won't let him make one. So this is why he ended up doing this. Right?
Sort of like, I mean, the danger of letting Tarantino do one would maybe, or maybe
Yeah.
not.
A Tarantino movie though of Star Trek, that would be something to see. But anyway, that's for
I think
another
it would be
discussion.
funny just if Star Trek ended up like buying the property to all the Orville, and just like one episode became a whole crossover, and all of this became canon in Star Trek storyline.
That would be crazy. I don't think it would happen, but that'd be crazy. Anyway, so they end up getting up.
Yeah, they joined the Federation.
Yeah, they join the Federation. All of a sudden, they're like, "Oh, on the opposite side of there's another Earth. There's a mirror Earth, and that Earth has a Federation." Unbelievable.
Yeah. We don't have to be in a union, guys, anymore. No more union fees.
No more union fees. Great. But anyway, and then he comes up to this guard, and he's like, I can't remember what he called him, but we'll just say
Nick.
Was it Nick?
Mick.
He's like,
Yeah.
Nick, I haven't seen you for ages, since like lacrosse and you know all this. And like the guard is like not having any of it. And he finally like goes up like he's gonna give him a hug.
Give
and
me
he
a
just
hug. Come on.
zaps him right in the right in the belly. And then he drags them out, but I don't think I actually grabbed that. But basically he drags them in and he's like, I haven't seen you in forever. And he just kind of walks in with this body. But anyway, so they're, you know, Kelly's still like, you know, not having any answers here. And then he's like, well, let's time to give you that serum then. You know, the truth serum, you know, the stuff that makes you feel like you're being drilled on every single nerve ending in your body. That sounds delightful. It's probably like going to the dentist. But anyway, so they end up injecting her, and literally within like 2 seconds, she's like screaming in pain. So clearly it works. Now, I have a problem with this, guys. How is the physiology the exact same that this would work on her as well? Like, what's the odds?
Yeah, what are the odds? Why wouldn't that just like straight up kill her, or her
Yeah, it could
brains,
kill
like, come
her.
out
It
of
could
her
change her into
nose?
somebody orange. Like, we don't know. She
Or
could end
she
up
could
being
just
an
be like,
Oompa Loompa. Yeah.
Do you guys taste purple? I taste purple. You know, and just completely have a
I
benign
smell burnt
reaction
toast.
to it.
You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, then
So,
she has
you
a
know.
seizure, and then we've got to call Dr. Penfield.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And she's clearly not having a good time, and she's doing I have to admit, the actress is doing a fantastic job of portraying the pain. Like,
Yeah,
she's doing
I
a
like
great
the way
job.
they gave like the sweat hair. Like she's you know, everything was. It's not just her face; it's the hair. It's the
Yeah, and then he basically holds up the you know, anti-serum or whatever you want to call it. You know, the
antidote.
the cure, I guess, the antidote. Yeah. And he's like, you know, well, we'll give you this once you start talking, basically. And that's when Mercer is now, you know, Mercer and company are now going through this courthouse legislation building. I don't really know exactly what it is, but I guess it's just like a, you know, I guess it's like a government
Fox
building.
head office.
Fox head office, might be the backlot scene. I don't know. But either way, they can actually hear her scream, and that's when you get. And actually, I love the terror that Ed is showing on his face when he hears her scream, because he knows her scream, right? Like, this is, you know, he you know, he was married to her. Like, you know, you can see that like distress coming into his face like right away. I thought that was really cool that they did that. So who would have thought that he could be a good actor? But anyway, so you know, he's still teasing her, he's still taunting her and all this, and then all of a sudden they open fire. They don't even try to negotiate anything. He's like, I'm just gonna shoot. And that's what they did. They started shooting. Alara basically breaks open the door, and then Mercer and the doctor are shooting, essentially. They ended up stunning him, I think. And the guards, I guess they stunned the guards too, because there was guards in the room. Yeah, there was guards in the room.
Well, you got the henchmen that were doing the beating up of her. So
yeah, exactly. So the guards obviously got hit too, and then they're trying to release her, and she's still in massive pain. Like, she can barely talk to him.
yeah, the doctor's trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, doctor's like, what's happening? Tell me, you know, kind of thing. And then I guess, you know, at this point, Alara just like picks this asshole up and just like, you know, grabs him by his face and like, tell me, you know, kind of thing. And he's got the he's got the antidote. So she injects her directly with the antidote. Like, we don't bother scanning this thing. We just go, hey, let's shove it in there. Like, this seems like
she's a very reckless doctor.
She is kind of a reckless doctor. I wouldn't say she's the most reckless doctor we've seen on a series like this, but she's pretty reckless at times. But anyway, I guess she's like, what do I got to lose at this point? So anyway, they give that to her and she instantly starts feeling better. She's still obviously hurting from all the injuries, but she's feeling better now. And basically Mercer's like, this is a ship, dude. Like, this isn't a planet, blah, blah, blah. And he knows it. Like, he knows there's something up, but that's why he's trying to cover it up, because he wants control of the people.
He knows the conspiracies and the old wives' tales, but he doesn't know for sure.
Exactly.
So he doesn't want to give up the ghost if there's no ghost to give up.
Yeah. And I think this just kind of keeps going on and on about the same thing for a little bit.
Well, no. What's going on?
And then,
they're talking about, like, they're trying to convince him now. Like, we're trying to.
Oh yes, and then Mercer shows him a picture of a ship on his little. We're not going to call it a tricorder device. And
this is Nokia. It's Nokia 9000.
It does look kind of like a Nokia. Yeah. It's got that flip up top screen, which is kind of nice too. Probably protects
it's like
it.
The Matrix edition.
Yeah. The one thing I always wondered in Star Trek is how they don't break all the screens on their devices, because they drop them all the time. So maybe this is their version of it. So anyway, he's like, this is my ship. Like, this is where we came from, and this is what you're on. And it looks kind of like a big turtle. Now, I'm not totally sure they even have turtles in this world. So maybe that guy wouldn't get that reference anyway. But he's like, you're on this thing. Like, you're not on a planet. And the guy's like, whatever. And then I
don't think they have any animals on this planet.
You don't see any. You do see bugs, though, because there was bugs on Alara when she was laying down. You could see bugs on her and stuff like that, which I might have just been a shooting mistake, but there are obviously in a real field, so I'm sure there's bugs there. But anyway, so they end up stunning him, I think. And then at this point, they're like, okay, time to leave. So they end up talking to, he's with them still, I guess. But they end up talking to the old guy. Can't remember his name again, but whatever. And he says, this is the thing I wanted to show you guys earlier, because earlier he alluded to the fact that he wanted to show them something, but then they got the call from Alara, right? So they couldn't proceed it right away. But basically, they're like, oh, well, this is the exact same thing that we just saw. We tried to open it, but this one's active. Like, we can't do an override on it or anything like that. And then Isaac's like, I can interface it. And he pulls an R2D2. And he just, like, he's got his little interface penises, and he, shoots them out of his fingers. And then he interacts with this thing and gets it.
This is the moment the doctor started looking at him twice.
Yeah. The doctor's like, hey, but anyways. Oh my. But anyway, so sure enough, we have another Final Fantasy VII encounter. And then we're walking towards another thing, and Isaac's like, this is a lift. And they're like, okay. So anyway, he's like, Kelly's like, up or down? And Ed's like, up, I guess. That would be logical. Oh my, there he is. Oh my. Better than Worf showing up. Yeah. And then he starts doing, like, minor small talk. He's like, so doctor, any weekend plans? And she's like,
yeah, that was great.
No. And then Kelly goes, Jesus, we're like thousands of light years away from home, and you're still awkward in an elevator. And then he gets out. And they get into this, like, it looks like kind of like a control room kind of thing, a viewing port and control room. And Isaac's like, yeah, no, this is a control room, and there's a message in the buffer kind of thing here, you want to see it.
This place got a sky dome.
And then this guy shows up, and he's like, I have a unique set of skills.
This guy is Liam Neeson.
This guy is
Liam
Neeson. That's what this guy is. I
can't
can't remember.
Any guy.
Oh, this is the guy who they thought was God. But
Captain Durrell. He was the first captain of the ship.
He was the first captain of the ship, and this ship is just a traveling ship. It's not supposed to be, a habitat for long term or anything like that. It was
supposed to be 3 generations to get them, wherever, 100 years
to the next place or whatever. Yeah, but turns out that their ship broke down, and Durrell basically lets us know that the ship is stranded because of the engines. And his game plan now is to wait for somebody to come by them, and hopefully they can get some help and get some aid rendered to them. But the good news is it's a biodorm without polyshore, which is good. And you have air recyclers and stuff like that, so they'll live and
Air,
they'll
food, and water for thousands of years.
Yeah, so
But
they're
they
good to
need
go for
outside
millennia.
help, or they'll be left adrift forever, and space is lonely.
Yeah, and something about his daughter being missing, but anyway, that's a whole other thing.
He's got a very special set of skills.
He does indeed, a couple times even. But basically, the native people here are talking. They're like basically like, oh, this is Darrell. Darrell is just a man. Like he's not a god, basically. And then Isaac's like, he still keeps going with the lore, but you get the gist of it anyway.
Wasn't there that episode of remember when it was the planet of clones, and again they just sort of let the planet run itself, and I'm talking about Next Gen, by the way, and
oh yeah, the where they just kept cloning the same 8 people,
right? But they had no idea how to run the planet and the technology. No,
because they bred that out of themselves. Like the people that knew it were long past dead, and they didn't pass it down to anybody.
Yeah,
so they had no idea. Yeah, similar idea. Yeah. But anyway, so Isaac's like, yeah, no, we can. Isaac's still looking at this. They're listening to this guy still jab off about the exact same thing. And then the transmission ends. And then Isaac's like, yeah, the engines aren't that bad. Like we can probably fix these in about 24 hours and whatnot. And Mercer's like, oh, okay, well, that'll work, I guess. And he's like, let's see if we can get this thing turned on. And he's like, oh, and Isaac's like, oh, by the way, this is a dome. Like we can open this thing.
You mean it's got a sunroof, Jody?
He's like, it's got a sunroof.
Yeah.
Usually you have to pay extra for that.
USS Skydome.
Yeah, there you go. It's like a panoramic roof, like my car. But anyway, and sure enough, they start to open the Skydome. And no baseball games going on right now, but it finally shows darkness, because I guess there is no light cycle on this in this thing. Like they that would make
be a
nuts.
trip.
That's
gotta make them crazy. Just generational daylight.
Yeah, well, that's what it is, right? So this is the first time they've seen the sky. So it starts opening up, and obviously the darkness also sets as well. But that would also explain why they're, the massive amount of growth that they have in this biosphere, I guess, is like the amount of trees and stuff that were in here were insane.
Turns out the marks on their face isn't their skin. It's just fungal. It's just fungal growth from the sun.
It's just melanoma.
Yeah,
the sun never turns off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So all these people are now seeing this happen. They're like, wow, this is amazing. And even what's this dude's name again? Not Darrell. This is
crap.
Jaemeel or something.
Jaemeel?
Oh no, it's Heimlich.
Heimlich, that's right.
Heimlich, yeah. But anyway, and there's a cool little shot here where you can see the lights. So they have lights, this much light on in their homes that never has darkness. Not totally sure why, but anyway, they do.
Maybe they just have automatic street lights that started turning on because it was dark all of a sudden.
So maybe the ship did have a night cycle, but it was never actually turned on.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe, I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, and then Claire does the quote from what was his name? I don't know. Mercer screwed it up too. So
Ralph Waldo Emerson,
yeah. But anyway, so she kind of quotes that, and he's like, yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to have the Union show up with some training ships, and they're going to train you how to use your own ship, and then you can kind of fly wherever you guys want. And he's like, really? Oh, okay, that's cool. I don't know who they're going to pick to fly it. I guess it's going to be him. But
we're going to train you how to use the ship that we have no idea anything about.
How hard can it be, World Mine?
I mean,
no defensive qualities whatsoever.
Well, if we look at if we look at Star Trek, though, every single time they stole an enemy ship, they knew how to fly it within like 2 minutes. Like it wasn't. So I guess the principles are the same. Just
Up,
That's
down,
fair.
right, left. What more can there be?
It either goes up or down. It's not too hard. But it's a big ship though, and there's a lot of space there. So I guess you got time to learn how to like maneuver it around.
I'm just saying, if I came across a spaceship and its instructions were in Mayan, I'm gonna have a time.
You're gonna have to figure out what this lever is and this lever is, and that kind of thing. Yeah, for sure. But I guess they can figure out with their universal translator, they can figure out what it all means, right? So, because they do have a sophisticated thing. But anyway, then the Orville sets out, and that's the end. All right. And once I figure out how to get this damn thing to go away, oh, there you go. You can do it. All right. And actually, what I'll do. Excellent. Let's get rid of that.
So that was a fine journey
It was.
inside space, inside ship, inside world, inside space.
But you know what it is time for? Our journey into fun facts with Adam.
Thank you. Okay, this story is very reminiscent to For the World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky, 1968.
Yes. Very nice.
The concept of the biosphere, a damaged generational spacecraft about to be destroyed by a star, and a semi-agrarian society which is religiously suppressed knowledge about further truth, was the premise of the Canadian-produced television series The Star Lost in 1973, which was very similar to Robert Heinlein's stories The Universe and the Common Sense, published in 1941, featuring a ship where residents are unaware they are on a ship, controlled by religious totalitarian government and worshipped of the builders as the ships, the creators of the universe. So, I mean, common story, but it works.
Yep.
To feel better, Clyden watched The Sound of Music. Seth MacFarlane has declared his love for this movie several times over the years. The Orville responds to a distress call from a ship called the Druyan, which is undoubtedly a reference to Anne Druyan, who co-wrote Cosmos with her husband, Carl Sagan.
Oh, neat. Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
And actually, she collaborated with Seth MacFarlane to create Cosmos, a Space-Time Odyssey in 2014. I have never heard of that. I'd like to look at that.
Say that one again. Sorry.
So his wife, Carl Sagan's wife, collaborated with Seth MacFarlane to create a show called Cosmos, a Space-Time Odyssey.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Yeah, I've seen it. It's Neil deGrasse Tyson hosts it.
Oh, cool. Okay.
It's basically the new version of Carl Sagan's original.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay, so
Yeah.
so Seth MacFarlane was involved in that then.
I guess I didn't know that, but
See, this is where the guy has some depth that you don't see.
he's got so much crap going on. It's
Yeah.
amazing how much he does. Yeah, he's right up there with a lot of other ones.
When the shuttlecraft docks with the derelict ship, and during the first exploration and inside the ship, the musical cues and soundtrack are obvious variations of Star Trek: The Motion Picture, specifically the Cloud and V'ger flyover.
I'm gonna have to go back to that scene now.
Yeah.
I remember there being music there, but I don't remember it being that reminiscent of it. But
Yeah, I didn't think so either, but maybe.
But I also,
Although wears a
I also
headband-
hate the motion picture, so I watch it.
We all do. Alara wears her headband to hide her alien features in order to blend in with the humans, as Spock did in Star Trek IV. Spock wore various hats and other headgear including on the original series, including Tomorrow Was Yesterday, The Return of the Acherons, The City on the Edge of Tomorrow, Patterns of Force, and Assignment Earth. Our favorite episode.
Simon Earth can suck it. Anyway.
All right. As Hamelak asks Commander Kelly Grayson for the third time for her friends, she replies, in a cafe in Soho called Central Perk.
Yes, or Friends.
This is obviously a reference to the coffee house from Friends. And she adds on, not to harm the monkey, referring to Ross's monkey called Marcel. So Robert Nepper, I guess his name is Robert Nepper, who was Hamelak, was actually in Haven in the first season of Next Gen. She was Deanna Troy's betrothed. Remember, he was very young, I guess, at the time, and he had blonde hair. Remember that guy?
Kind of. I did watch that too, not too long ago.
Yeah.
It looked familiar.
That was a long time ago.
There's another podcast that covers that stuff, though.
Yeah, we heard. Yeah, maybe there is.
Yeah, might be.
The residents of the bioship superficially resemble the Trill in Star Trek, especially concerning their facial markings. Oh, and here's your question. The interior of the enormous bioship was filmed at location at Walt Disney Studios in Golden Oak Ranch in California.
Golden Oak Ranch, okay.
And then finally, Penny Johnson and James Morrison both appeared in 24.
I didn't know Penny Johnson was in 24.
She was the in the first season. She was the first lady.
Oh, okay. I didn't put two and two together there. It's been so long since I've seen it. She keeps it. I really just got to go read her IMDb page because like I keep finding things that she's in. So it's kind of weird.
This was actually meant to be the second episode, Jody, but was shunted down to the fourth. And then finally, Liam, I'll leave it here. Liam Neeson filmed a cameo as a personal favorite to Seth MacFarlane, who also directed him in A Million Ways to Die in the West and Ted 2. Neeson receives no on-screen credit.
Really? Oh, I would have thought he would have been at least in the credit somewhere. But anyway, that's it.
Well,
that wasn't
we
enough.
just finished that. I got to finish this. So Liam Neeson's cameo was a complete surprise to the cast and crew and was filmed at a separate unit. When it was first shown within the context of the scene, all the cast broke character and applauded the cameo.
Oh, neat. That's cool.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, well, that would be a big deal, you know?
Yeah.
Especially for, let's be honest, there isn't a lot of seasoned veterans on this show. Like, there's a couple, but there's also some new talent as well. So
yeah. When did Taken come out? When was that done?
Oh, the first Taken? Well, probably, if I had to guess, I'd say probably around 2010.
Okay, yeah. So it was well
before
this came around. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be my guess, but I don't actually know. All right. Well, thank you very much, Adam, for them fun facts as always. And Jim says, hello, all. Hello to you, Jim.
And that's true, Jim.
It continues throughout the whole series. It's pretty common. Anyway, I think it's time for some ratings, gentlemen. What do you think?
Sounds good.
All right. So let's make this a little bit bigger so everybody can see it. There we go. Okay. So you know what? I'll leave mine to last. Actually, let's fill in the blanks first. Adam, what was your rating for last week?
Give this one an 8.
8. Okay. Murphy, do you have one for last week?
Oh yeah, that one gets like a 5 from me.
Didn't like it at all, eh?
Yeah, no, it's not my favorite.
Or that
and
performance.
Command performance, I'm gonna give that one like 7.
7? All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, thank you. All right. So now let's go back to Adam. What are you giving this?
I give Tonight's an 8.5.
8.5. So you did like it a little better than last week.
Oh, I did like this episode. I thought this was
wasn't dramatically better, but it was better according to you. Dave gave it an 8, so he clearly liked last week's better. I liked last week's, but I liked it probably for different reasons than other people did. But if you want to find that out, you gotta go watch the last week's episode. And Kevin's not here, so we'll wait on his. Murphy, what are you saying about this one, man?
This one's gonna get an 8.5 for me.
8.5. You know what? I'm completely with you guys as well. I think it's a solid episode. I'm going to give it an 8.5 as well. That was kind of what I was thinking going into it anyway. So clearly we're going to be at about an 8.4 range.
I think my measure is going to be for a 10 for this series for me is going to have to be something completely original.
And that's definitely something. Jim says 8 out of 10 as well. So I think the majority kind of rules around the 8 to between 8 and 9 at this point. I agree with you. Like there's a lot of stuff that are definitely reminiscent of Star Trek episodes. So like About a Girl, yes, I think that's probably one of the more original ones, but it still takes like the TNG episode with the the race of people that don't have gender. They're all gender neutral and stuff like that. So there's still clippings of that. Command performance, like we've seen that tons of times in Star Trek. And Old Wounds, that's an intro episode anyway, so it's kind of hard to make that not original, I guess is a good way to say it. So
but like when we watched other series through the years, Jody and Chris, is that like you always have those episodes, good episode, bad episode, and I don't know if we're going to see that here because they seem to be building on each other here. It's
Yeah, and I think if I have to think about based on what I've seen, because I've seen the whole series at this point, but it's been a while since I've seen 2 and 3 seasons. But I can't really think off the top of my head a bad episode. Like how a lot of like series have like those
Enterprise.
definite. Yeah, Enterprise is a good example. Minefield, terrible episode. Even if we look at Strange New Worlds, even though it's pretty good, there are still episodes that I feel could be better. I'll leave it at that. But anyway, there you go. Actually,
totally
what?
agree.
That's pretty much exactly what Jim's saying. It's not bad. It's not original. It's executed well enough. Yep. I would agree.
You guys got to keep me honest here. If we see something really original, it goes up in the 9 to 10 range for me.
Yeah, when we can always go back and change some of the ratings if we have to. But either way, I think we're all on the same point. If we look at IMDb ratings as of this episode being shot, is at an 8.2. So we're kind of really where everybody else is. We've been a little higher for the most part, but this was directed by James L. Conway. And story was by Seth MacFarlane. Basically, Seth writes pretty much most of the first season, including the teleplays as well. And then after that, it kind of goes to other writers. So I think you see a lot of the fan service in the first series, like in the first season, like a lot of like callbacks to Star Trek stuff, just because he's writing it, right? So I think that's where we're getting most of that. But anyway, even though I still think that's pretty sweet. And there we go. So let's get rid of this. All right. Well, gentlemen, we're getting near the end here. Any final thoughts?
No.
What can be said that hasn't already been said, I guess is a good.
That's right. Let's talk about the other stuff we do.
Like what?
Oh man. Don't we have
Well, we have a promo thing which we'll do at the near the end here, but
we don't have to run down anymore. We get to save our breath. People can just.
Well, I'm back tomorrow night with Next Gen episode.
Oh yeah, which episode are you guys looking at?
5.
I thought it was episode 6.
Is it 6?
Also in on that episode.
I love that. 5 maybe. I don't know. Which
Yeah.
episode is it?
Episode
Anyone?
6. To
Anyone?
boldly
Here.
go where no one's gone before.
Oh yes, okay. The
No.
Traveler episode.
Oh yeah, that's the
Yeah.
one. I really like that episode, so I'm looking forward to talking
It's a
about
good
that.
episode. It's not bad. It doesn't make you feel that he's too obnoxious during it, but overall it's pretty good. I was looking at the score too, Adam, so just so you know. We're currently at 1-1.
1-1.
And we're 5 minutes into the second period for anybody who happens to be following hockey. Oh, you don't have to be sorry to show up
apologize,
late.
Jim.
Just watch it later then. It's all
Yeah,
good.
we're just
glad
happy
you're
you
here.
showed up. Yeah.
We're glad you're here. You don't have to watch it live. Just we're happy you're here one way or the other, but we're glad you are. Who else we got here? We got some other things here. Anybody else? No, I think that's pretty much it.
Wesley is a space child. Yes, that's the one.
Space Child subplot. Yeah, which ends up being harnessed later on. Including season 2 or season 3 of Picard?
Yeah, 3.
Is it 3? Yeah, I think it's 3.
Shows up, yeah, and
He shows up as well. Yeah. Spoilers if you haven't seen that.
No, that was 2. He was in season 2. You're right.
Was he in 2? Yeah, it was in 2 because that was when they were dealing with her and her living with the doctor. Okay. Anyway, gentlemen, we have a lot of things on the union, let's say, of the
union.
United Federation of Podcasts.
The union of podcasts.
So we're not just Star Trek. We got a lot of other things. For instance, Murphy, he has active part in a lot of stuff, better known as to the world as World Mind. Murphy, what do you got on the go?
Well, I mean, we just did a hold up there last week with Ashley Millard. We were covering bugs, a few bug films there. Arachnophobia, Starship Troopers, and the Secret World of Arietti. That was my choice.
Those are all good solid choices, actually.
Good choices, but mine was lacking in the bug. It just barely passed. Either way, we got into some discussions about that.
Starship Troopers is probably the best one out of the three there for me. But
Yeah, and I would agree. And
Arachnophobia is a
Gavin,
good watch, but I don't know if it would hold up. But I guess I got to watch the episode to find out.
you gotta watch the episode to find out. The audio one should be up now if you want to check that out wherever. And we also got Trivial Debates coming up on Sunday, where we're
what's the
doing a
topic?
cryptozoology. Ashley Millard is going to be hosting that one, and we've got 3 guests that should hopefully they know their cryptozoology, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah, so that's going to be Sunday's episode.
That sounds like way over my head, but anyway, either way, still sounds good. All right, well, gentlemen, thank you for having me as your host, and for you guys to be here, of course. We enjoy our times together, and I was so glad to see the two of you guys being able to show up tonight. So that's great.
I'm always happy to be the Yafet to this Orville podcast.
Hopefully, we'll see more than one of you in a season. So let's hope you can join us with some more. I know you got a lot of things on the go, so it's hard with your schedule, but thank you for taking the time, and we appreciate it. And Adam, you're the glue that holds this channel together.
Oh boy,
let's be honest.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Jody. Go Oilers, go!
Go Oilers, go!
Go Oilers, go!
It'd be nice to have the cup back in Canada for sure. All right, gentlemen. Well, unless anybody else has anything to say, I think it's time to say goodbye. And everybody needs to watch this and see the other shows that we have on the United Federation of Podcasts, and live long and podcast, I guess.
Live long and proper.
All right.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on Trivial Debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.